All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Football Live with the Fantasy Sports Boss. Here we are, the tail end of Championship Week. Hope you all took home your trophies. I heard from a lot of you guys over the last, 24 hours, the last 10 hours, I should say, in terms of their results. And, say about half the people responded, said they lost, half the people responded, said they won. So, hopefully you were one of those successful owners that were able to bring home your league championship. I know for myself, right now in the one league that I still have going, I'm up 34 points going into tonight with T. Higgins still to go. My opponent has Josh Allen. My opponent has Joe Mixon. So it could still go either way for me. And certainly I'm on the edge of my seat wondering how this is going to go because, Josh Allen fully capable of putting up a 40-point performance. And then they would come down to Mixon versus Higgins, and Mixon would have the advantage of being a runner and a receiver. So for myself personally, definitely, it's right there in front of me. I almost have this championship sewn up, but it's just I still got to survive tonight's game. And the more frustrating part of it for me too is that as a Leonard Fournette owner, having that late touchdown taken away where he literally went down at like the 1-inch line. And then Tom Brady sneaks it in. If I wind up losing by less than 6 points, that's going to haunt me for a long time. And really, when you do lose in a fantasy football championship round, depending on the circumstances. Now, if you get blown out, it wasn't meant to be. But if there was something you could have done differently, you had a lot of points on the bench, that can stick with you for a while. So. And really, the big story, of course, yesterday was Justin Jefferson. I put up the poll. Was it an all-time bust performance considering the caliber of player, and the fact that he caught one pass for 15 yards, the most unbelievable no-show performance in all the years, in my opinion, in fantasy football, non-injury related. That was just crazy. And it hit me personally because in my championship match, my opponent had Justin Jefferson, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, man, I'm going to fall behind. Jefferson's going to go nuts. I had Allen Lazard going in that game. Lazard puts up 10 points. Jefferson puts up, I think it was 1.5 or 2.5. So just shocking. And, that you have the gambling individuals who are saying that it was fixed, it was rigged, this and that. I can't go there with that. But, it was just unbelievable that's how bad he was. So, hopefully, like I said, for you guys that you're going to bring home your trophy. A couple of you guys are already submitting comments. My opponent has Josh Allen. I'm up 25. Yeah, rise above anything. That's tough. 25 up on with Josh Allen to go. I would say you probably got about a 40% chance to win. I'm predicting he gets 30. So if he gets 30, I'm up only 4 with Higgins versus Joe Mixon. 25. I mean, you're right there. I know it's supposed to rain tonight for that Buffalo Cincinnati game, so maybe that slows things up. But the problem too with Allen is that he could just beat you with his legs as well. Polumsky won one league. Thanks to JJ, one catch. The other one I have a great chance up 16 points. I have Higgins. He has Joe Burrow left. Yeah, you're in a good spot. If he's got Joe Burrow, Polumsky, and you got Higgins, if it's a PPR league, especially anytime the quarterback throws to the receiver, you're going to come out on top in that situation. Jefferson, tough day versus Alexander. Yeah, listen, Jair Alexander's a great cornerback, no doubt about it. And we saw with Seattle, DK Metcalf, one catch for 4 yards against Sauce Gardner. And if you already don't realize this, Sauce Gardner is the number 1 cornerback in the NFL. Already, not even done with his rookie season, the most dominant cover corner in football already. No doubt about it. Thanks for the past 4 weeks since I've been following. Appreciate it, brother. Oh, you're welcome, Plumsky. I'm glad I was able to help you bring it home. I'm up in the air. I'm down by 49. Still have Burrow and Chase to play. I played against the Brady and Evans stack. Oh, man, yeah, that's tough. I mean, if you played against Mike Evans, God bless you. That was brutal. I can't even imagine being on the receiving end of what Mike Evans and even Tom Brady, for that matter, put up yesterday. Now, I had Chris Godwin. Godwin got me, I think it was 21 points, but he didn't score. Evans was killing me in the sense that all those touchdowns were going to Evans instead of Godwin. Down by 49 with Burrow and Chase. That's going to be close. I mean, I think you could pull that off. 25 each. I think it's definitely possible. But it was 1.5 for Jefferson. Okay. JG getting triple team. Yes, I get that he was getting triple team, Randy, but they could have schemed something to get him a couple of short throws that maybe create after the catch. I mean, there's ways to scheme guys open, even if they are double teamed. If you throw just some simple out patterns to the line of scrimmage there and just have them create, it doesn't matter that you're triple team. You just get the ball in his hands and just hope something happens. I'm up 20 going against Chase tonight. What are my chances? Chase, they're going to have to throw it a lot. So I'm going to say, Johnny, you probably got about a 40% chance yourself of winning. I think Chase is probably going to get more than 20. But I could be wrong. They might shade his way. After we saw what happened with Justin Jefferson, nothing is beyond the realm of possibility. So I actually feel strongly that Higgins is going to have a good game because I think they're going to shade coverage Chase's way. And Higgins has scored in 4 straight games, so he's no slouch himself. My other league, I have Chase, and I'm down 17 points. Hopefully he has a big game. Yeah, you should be able to. That's what makes this game tonight so crazy, is that there's so many type A fantasy football players that are going, whether it's Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and man, Stephon Diggs has been terrible the last couple of weeks. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Devin Singletary, even to a lesser extent. These are all, prime guys that could decide leagues tonight. So, for me, I'm not even sure I'm going to watch the game tonight. The way I look at it is this: up 34 with Higgins. If Higgins scores, I think I'm good. As long as I get a touchdown from Higgins, I think I have this locked up. I mean, Josh Allen, we know, can go for 40. Mixon, hit or miss. He has a 50-plus point game. So I say I probably have a little bit more than a 50% chance because, again, I do think Allen's just going to put up a lot of points. And my opponent made some good moves. He had Tyler Algier, and Algier had a really good outing. And that's the other thing, too. So Tyler Algier yesterday, 83 yards rushing. He had a touchdown, caught one pass for 12 yards. Tyler Algier is somebody that next season we really need to be paying attention to. He's gotten better as the season has gone on. So I think Algier is somebody at cost too, because he's not going to, I think he's going to be probably a 4th or 5th round pick. He's somebody that looks quite interesting to me. Let's see. I have Chase in 2 of my other leagues. I'm up 100-78. He has just Josh Allen to play. Yeah, it just seems like there's a lot of that tonight with Chase and Josh Allen in terms of, chances of winning and things of that nature. So, I know for me personally in this league, I made some pretty bad decisions that I'm lucky to be up. Let me pull up my team now. I'm lucky to be up by 34. So I'm looking at my bench. I have Dalton Schultz on the bench with 24 points. I have Kelsey. Kelsey only gave me 11. I went with Allen Lazard in the flex because they were playing Minnesota. I didn't expect Green Bay to jump out as quickly as they did, as big as they did. That really, didn't require a lot of passing from Aaron Rodgers. So Lazard got only 10.9. I had Taysom Hill on the bench. He gave me 13.4. How about Taysom Hill? He's been double digits now for the last 4 weeks. And it will be curious in Yahoo leagues to see if he has tight end eligibility next week. Bench Chubb instead of Algier. Took your advice on that one. Yes. I know Chubb didn't score. Polemski, what were the points for each of them? I don't have it in front of me. But yes, that was one thing I had said. Chubb was somebody you might want to think about benching. And I thought Algier was a tremendous matchup this week, and he did score. Also on my bench, this is what will kill me if I wind up losing. So I went with Justin Fields, 18 points, over Jared Goff, who had 28. So, I made a judgment call. I thought, and listen, Fields came right out and put up 16 points in the first fucking quarter, and then he turns it over twice, does nothing the rest of the way, and ends up with 18 while Jared Goff puts up 28. That will be the move that kills me if I wind up losing. 34, you're up pretty. Yeah, that's that. I'm happy with that. I figured that I needed to be up 30 going into tonight, so the extra 4 points that might come in handy. But I just think there's a lot of omens that I'm not happy about. That the Leonard Fournette getting the touchdown taken away, that would have given me an extra 6 points. Going with Justin Fields over Jared Goff, that cost me 10 points right there. Things like that. So I have a bad feeling. Mike Evans, 48 fantasy. Yeah, that was crazy. And, I did a video on that this morning. It's not many Mike Evans owners are probably left at this stage of the, in the championship because he's been so bad. I won't say bad, but he's been very underwhelming with single-digit production for 5 of the last 7 games. And even if you benched him, I can't blame you because he just hasn't been very good. But for myself, the Justin Fields, and a couple of things about Justin Fields. So he got banged up twice, got checked for a concussion. He was limping at one point as well, and then he shut down the running. So after the first quarter, he hardly ran at all. He had 132 rushing yards, but 75 passing yards, and he had the 1 touchdown pass, threw an interception, lost a fumble. Justin Fields is not a very good quarterback. He is a great runner, great athlete. He is not a great quarterback or even a good quarterback. He does not throw the ball well. Now, as you guys are aware, I put out a yearly prospect NFL draft book every year. And when Justin Fields, his class there with Zach Wilson and whatnot, I wasn't high. I was not high at all on Wilson. I panned him in the book. But yeah, Stidham was much better than I anticipated. And I'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, he does need better receivers. But the hang up I had with Fields when he was in college too, he struggled reading defenses and his accuracy was poor. Doesn't have the best footwork. Ball placement, not great. Same issues that Zach Wilson has, but he is a ridiculous runner. By far the best runner in football, even over Lamar Jackson. If he raced Jackson in a 100-yard dash, he would win. Fastest quarterback in the NFL. We're talking Michael Vick speed, actually, with Justin Fields. So his running sets up the passing. So he can get away. He looks better as a passer than Wilson, which is not saying much because Wilson can't create space in the passing game with his legs like Justin Fields can. You have to respect Justin Fields as a runner, so it opens up passing lanes for him because they sell out to stop him as a runner. But we saw yesterday when he stopped running that he had no answer passing-wise. All right. Now, I know he needs better receivers. There's no doubt about it. But it was bad. And it proved to be fool's gold, talking about Justin Fields in the playoffs. He wasn't good last week with 11 points. 18 points, not awful, but not great for the fantasy football championship, especially when you have Jared Goff sitting there on the bench with 28 like I did. Next season, he certainly will have. They're going to address the offensive line. They have to draft a receiver, whether it's the TCU kid, Jackson Smith, the Ohio State receiver. They got to get somebody for him, and they will. So, Fields will look more attractive next season from a fantasy perspective, but there are still warts to his game overall. I don't understand why people have been on Deshaun Watson like 2 years of football will be fine next year. Yeah, listen, I'm fine with Deshaun Watson too. As a matter of fact, Deshaun Watson looks very attractive to me from how cheap he's going to be cost-wise. The fact that he played now, he threw a bunch of touchdowns yesterday. Very few passes, but he was able to capitalize by throwing to Amari Cooper, and putting forth a decent outing yesterday, touchdown-wise. But I think Watson's going to be just fine next season. And how about Daniel Jones? That was the other thing. So Daniel Jones is a guy that I've had a lot of arguments with people this season, both on here and in my personal life, coworkers, family. A lot of Daniel Jones haters. But listen, he balled out yesterday, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. And just like Justin Fields, he has nobody. Daniel Jones might even have worse receivers than Justin Fields. He literally has nobody. A guy off the street, Hodgins, who's been good. Richie James, who nobody ever heard of up until a few weeks ago. Daniel Bellinger, rookie pass-blocking tight end from San Diego State. Saquon Barkley, yes, great player, but as far as receivers, Jones has had nobody to throw to all season, and he was awesome yesterday. He earned himself an extension from the Giants. They are absolutely now going to re-sign him. He deserves to be re-signed. I think Jones is a top 15 fantasy quarterback next season. The Giants certainly are going to draft somebody as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in on one of those top receivers in the first round of the draft, depending where they're going to be picking. Yeah, Richie James was good off waivers for sure. That worked out even better than I imagined. But Daniel Jones can play for me any day, and I am a Giants fan. I supported Daniel Jones from the beginning. He's got great tools, throws a good deep ball, good, not overly powerful arm, fairly accurate. He does make mistakes. He can be a mistake-prone quarterback, but his legs are fantastic. He's going to be a very good quarterback as long as his legs allow him to be that multi-dimensional, multi-purpose player. And in fantasy next season, just like Deshaun Watson, he is going to be an affordable, dual threat quarterback that you want to have. Listen, guys, we have to be done with the one-dimensional Matthew Staffords, the Tom Bradys, the Aaron Rodgers. That's not going to cut it anymore. The Derek Carrs, the guys who don't give you anything on the ground. If you wind up with one of these non-running quarterbacks, you simply are putting yourself behind the 8 ball to the rest of your league. We have to get a Deshaun Watson. We have to get a Danny Dimes. We got to get a Lamar Jackson, a Justin Fields, a Pat Mahomes. Now I know Mahomes doesn't put up the massive rushing yards that the other guys do, but he's such an unbelievable passer and contributes to rushing yards that he has to be in that grouping. Josh Allen, of course. Trevor Lawrence, who I really love. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be on all my teams next season. I can just see it now. I think it'll be an interesting debate between Lawrence and Fields. I think they're going to be drafted around the same region next season. I think Watson will go after them. Fields or Lawrence, that's going to be a very interesting dilemma. I would lean Lawrence because he's going to have Calvin Ridley. He's got Christian Kirk. He's got Zay Jones. They are they have to re-sign Evan Engram, and Engram would be stupid not to re-sign there after he had a career year there. So I think that certainly Trevor Lawrence is somebody I'm going to be looking at closely. And once tonight is over, I'm going to start going into probably at the end of next week, because I want to, even though I'm not going to be doing I'm not treating week 18 like a fantasy football week, because all leagues should be done by now anyway. And I think that, yes, Ridley is definitely going to be a sleeper. I think that once next week is through, I'm going to start producing the wrap-up videos on all of the key individual players. So, Trevor Lawrence wrap-up, Dalvin Cook wrap-up, Justin Jefferson wrap-up. I'm going to be doing those individual videos on these guys. And then once the season is completely over, going to get hard to work at my fantasy football draft guide. Going to do some live streams throughout the offseason, free agency, all that good stuff. And then we're going to have all that covered for you as well. And, of course, the NFL draft, which I'm going to be very heavy on. Now I'm on the defensive side in terms of my book, the progress of my book. I've done all of the offensive players now. Maybe there's a couple of offensive players that still have to declare that I'm going to hone in on in terms of completing their write-ups. But I'm on to the defensive players now, my annual NFL prospect draft guide. So that's going to be coming out hopefully by the end of this month, early February. Up 37, facing Josh Allen and Gabe Davis. Do I win? I don't know. That's tough, John. 50-50 on that one for sure. 37 with 2 guys. If it was just Josh Allen, I would say yes. But if Allen throws a touchdown to Gabe Davis, that's going to be trouble. So, yeah, I'm stressed. I really am. I'm not going to lie. It's been a couple of years since I won a fantasy football league. I've been in the same 2 leagues for years. I only do 2 leagues because I don't want to be rooting for every single player. It just gets to be too much. So I do 2 leagues. The one league that I'm in the finals tonight, I've won 4 titles in 16 years. This would give me, and I have the record. Nobody else has won more than 3 except for me. I can make it 5 tonight. My other league, I got bounced in the quarterfinals. And haven't won that league. That's my work league. I've been doing that for about 7 years. So, fantasy football, listen, you could have the best team on paper to start the season, but once the season gets going, injuries, trades that you make that maybe not worked out, disappointing performances. I mean, geez, Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, another one, Mark Andrews, right? These things happen. You know what's funny, too, is I went back and looked at my team. The team that I'm in the finals, the team that I'm in the finals with, I went back and looked at my draft. And I have to say, I had a pretty horrible draft. So this is how this draft went. Now I'm in the finals, so I was able to adjust as I went along to save this team. But this is my draft in this particular league that I'm in the finals in. I had the first overall pick. I took Jonathan Taylor, bust. Second round, I took Leonard Fournette, bust. Third round, I got Travis Kelce. Great pick. That pick saved me because it really, I know he's slowed down a bit the last couple of weeks, but having the number 1 tight end at such a shallow position really elevated my team each week. How about this one? 4th round. I'm embarrassed about this, but I have to just say it. Allen Robinson. I took Allen fucking Robinson in the 4th round. So 3 of my first 4 picks were busts. In the 5th round, I took Travis Etienne and immediately flipped him during the draft for T. Higgins because the T. Higgins owner accidentally ended up with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins because it was an online draft. He got bounced off the chat, the applet for the draft, and wound up with Higgins. And he said, I can't have both of these guys. I need a running back. And so he took Higgins in the 4th round, and I offered him Etienne, and he took it. So basically, my 5th round pick was Higgins. 6th round, I took Lamar Jackson. Worked out good the first month of the season, especially, and then it all went to shit. How about this? 7th round, I took Rashad Bateman. Bust. So that's now 4 of my first 7 picks. Absolute bust. Now this is where my team really took off. In the 8th round, I took Chris Godwin. Great pick. And I doubled up on him in both of my leagues because I thought it was great value. 9th round, I took Ramondre Stevenson. I thought that was another great pick. I know the end of the season wasn't great for him, but he was fantastic for most of the year. 10th round, I took Trey Lance. Bust. 11th round, I took Zach Ertz. Was working out splendidly until he got injured. And then somebody had dropped Dalton Schultz during the year, and I picked him up. When Schultz had those bagels for like 3 weeks in a row, somebody dropped him, and I picked Schultz up, and I used him as flex for a while. My 12th round pick was Josh Palmer. That worked, when Keenan Allen was out, that was pretty good. 13th round, I took Melvin Gordon. I wound up cutting him right away. 14th round, I took Rachaad White as insurance, and I used him a couple of weeks, and he was all right. 15th round, I took Tyler Algier. Now, I didn't end up the season with Algier. My opponent in the finals winds up having him. But for much of the season, it worked. And then the 16th round, I took Jameson Williams. That was a lost pick there. So I wound up, I had traded for T. Higgins. I picked up Justin Fields during the course of the season when he started to show some signs. So that saved me when Lamar Jackson went out. Allen Lazard, I made a trade for Allen Lazard after week 1, when I told you guys to trade buy low on him. It worked out for a few weeks until Chris Watson took off. I picked up Taysom Hill off of waivers. I picked up Jared Goff off of waivers. And it was really Stevenson, Godwin, and Kelsey that helped me get to the finals, and Justin Fields for that matter. And Higgins too was really good. All right, we got a $9.99 super chat from Polumsky. Thank you, Polumsky. I really, really appreciate that. Need to keep 2, keeper league. All right, yeah, I'm going to be getting a lot of these coming up, I imagine. Fields, James Conner, Josh Jacobs, Metcalf, Lockett, Lamb, Goddard. Wow. Amari Cooper, Christian Watson. I kept Conner and Jacobs the last 2 years. So can you keep them again? I'm just curious. I wouldn't keep Conner, definitely, but can you keep Jacobs again? I'm just curious. I wouldn't keep Fields. I don't keep quarterbacks. James Conner I'm not keeping because he's getting older. And listen, Conner was really good, but he's always hurt, and he got hurt yesterday. I'm not keeping him. Josh Jacobs I would consider keeping because he's going to cash in as a free agent, and he had a fantastic season, no doubt about it. I'm not keeping Lockett. Lamb, that's tough. Goddard, no. Cooper, no. Watson, no. So Polumsky, what I would say to you is, okay, yes, you can. So I would keep Josh Jacobs and CeeDee Lamb. Metcalf is close. If I had to pick, I would keep Jacobs and CeeDee Lamb. Lamb might be just a shade below the Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp ultimate number 1 tier, but he's very close. Low end wide receiver 1. I like him better than Metcalf, so I'm going to go Lamb and Jacobs. What do you think about that? That's how I see it. Is that where you were leaning? Think next year I might go receiver heavy. Depending, you got to go receiver heavy. That's the way to go every year. Listen, your first round pick has to be a receiver. Raiders better not let Jacobs walk. They are going to let him walk. Listen. They've already let Derek Carr walk, or going to let Derek Carr walk. They have Zamir White, who they drafted. Yes, Polumsky. So we're in lockstep. And thank you for that $9.99 super chat. I really appreciate all the support this season. And it does help with the channel, helps with the show, everything. So thank you. They could franchise tag him. They could, Josh Jacobs could get franchise tags, but I think they're going to let him walk. I think this is a rebuild. And how about Jarrett Stidham? Did not see that coming. He came out firing against the best defense in the NFL, made it that much more, impactful in my opinion. Now, we've seen this many times before. Anybody remember Matt Flynn and his 6 touchdown passes that one year that got him a contract from Seattle, and then he was quickly pushed aside by Russell Wilson? We have to be careful not to overreact to this one start and really what was a meaningless game for the Raiders. But Jarrett Stidham looked good. The quality of competition was top-notch against that San Francisco defense. So at least for next season, he could be an option for the Raiders. And in terms of Derek Carr, I'm going to call it right now. I think Derek Carr is going to be on the New York Jets next year. Mike freaking White was awful yesterday. He just looks like a top backup quarterback who can come in and give you a jolt of energy. I think Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback for the Jets next year, and that is a really good spot for him to end up on with a lot of offensive players there. Breece Hall coming back, Garrett Wilson. That is a really strong team. If anybody who does futures bets, look at the New York Jets odds for next year to win the Super Bowl. And now I'm a Giant fan saying this. I think the Jets, they have a Super Bowl caliber defense. They have a Super Bowl caliber offense outside of quarterback. If they get a quarterback like Derek Carr, they could win a Super Bowl next year at generous odds. Trying to go Adams or Chase or Jefferson. Yes. Adams, I'm a little leery on because he's going to be 30 years old. And we don't know what the quarterback situation is. So I would rank it. Jefferson is the number 1 pick. Then Chase. Then I would have Diggs, Hill, and Kupp. Kupp has had 2 serious injuries the last 4 years. I'm a little worried about him. Derek Carr is definitely leaving. We in here, you think it'll be smart to bench Godwin, engage for my Week 18 championship matchup? They already said they're going to play their starters, Zamora, and I know they're trying to get Chris Godwin over 1,000 yards receiving. So I think that Godwin is going to play. You definitely bench Gage for sure. And I forgot you have that Week 18, that dreaded Week 18 matchup there. No league should, I've said this to you before, no league should have their fantasy football championship in Week 18 when all these players are sitting out. Yes, Debo could be back. Brandon Ayuk balled out. And how about the Brock Purdy story? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Mr. Irrelevant playing as well as he is. It goes to show you that the quarterback position is the most difficult position to scout and to get right for the NFL year in and year out. No doubt about it. You have Mr. Irrelevant playing great. You have the number 2 overall pick in Zach Wilson playing like absolute dog shit. So every year we see this with the quarterbacks. Now, with that said, CJ Stroud of Ohio State, he's the real deal. I as much as I hated Zach Wilson coming out, and I was really down on Justin Fields too, outside of running because he doesn't really throw the ball well, I am all in on CJ Stroud. I think he is well worth possibly being the number 1 pick. If Carolina wants to trade up to get him, the Houston Texans at number 1, that's somebody they really need to think long and hard. I know Will Anderson's going to get attention, the defensive end from Alabama, but CJ Stroud, in my opinion, should be the number 1 pick. 4 touchdown passes against a Georgia defense that's filled with NFL players. He's the real deal. I love him. I think CJ Stroud is going to be tremendous. If the Texans take him, they have their quarterback for the next 10 years. I had a Debo on waivers yesterday. Like I said, I'm not going to treat next week like a fantasy football, regular week. To me, after tonight, the regular season ends, and then it's time to go into previewing next season, starting to look ahead to next season. Going to go look at some free agents, discuss guys that are going to be free agents and where they could end up and things like that. At least first and second both win money. My opponent has Mahomes, Hill, Goddard, Metcalf, Ayuk, Richie James, Mostert, and Richie. Your opponent's pretty stacked. Boss, I played Mike Evans and finally paid off. Oh, George, I'm glad. I don't know if I told you not to play him, but that was crazy. And again, 48 fantasy points in the finals. That's just outrageous. And I've said this before. If you play in a really high stakes league, like, where you win thousands of dollars, whichever guy helped you win the championship that week, if they have a charity, donate a little portion of it to the charity. Somebody had said this years ago, and I'll never forget it, that they wound up winning this high stakes league. I don't remember who the player was. It might have been Larry Fitzgerald, the Cardinals, who went ballistic in the championship week. And this guy that was talking about donating charity, he gave some of his winnings to Larry Fitzgerald's charity. Now we're talking he won thousands of dollars. It's like a real high stakes league, but he donated some of it to Larry Fitzgerald's charity because Fitzgerald was the one who helped him the most win that during the championship week. I thought that was awesome. So that was something I always remember. So, if T. Higgins balls out tonight, I might be having to throw some of my winnings to whatever charity he supports. So we got to see here. Made up for Saquon. What the F was up with Barkley having 6 points in a 38-point win? Dan Jones is Daniel Jones is going to take a lot of those rushing yardage. And Barkley, it's a long season for him. He's not used to playing this deep into a season, Barkley. He finally managed to stay healthy for the first time in a long time. And I think there's just the length of the season caught up with him. I have Cooper, Mixon, Watson, Jacobs, Everett, and Chark Godwin. Yeah, it looks good to me. And Debo. Yeah, I mean, that it looks like a 50-50 split there in terms of who could win that. I'm up 30. All my opponent has his Diggs, and I still have Burrow. I think it's, you're good to go, George. I think you can start celebrating. And that's the thing, too, tonight. Oh, man, it's injuries. I just don't want any injuries. And the other thing, too, that I thought about is a fantasy football championship, I think, should be 2 weeks. So week 17 and 16, I think you end the season after week 13 like we did for all those years before they made the schedule, added an extra game to the schedule. 14, first round, week 15, second round. Week 16 and 17 should be a double week finals. That way, let's say you lose your quarterback early in the first quarter in championship week, it doesn't automatically kill you and you lose the championship just because of one injury. If it's a 2-week final, at least you have an opportunity to overcome that. I got lucky. He had J.J. Kamara and Bridgewater, Hill, and ETN, and thankfully got benched. Yeah, and listen, so the Cardinals did bench their starters. That was what we were worried about. They wound up getting up so early that they did wind up benching them. It's only 2 games on Saturday and the rest Sunday and all at the same time. Yes, they do that because of the playoff implications. That's why I know the Jaguars got hosed, having to make them play off a short week, and while the Tennessee Titans played on Thursday and have, an extra 3 days to prepare. I think that was very unfair to the Jaguars. They're going to go with Josh Dobbs again at quarterback. Jacksonville should win. And I think it's really good for the NFL that Trevor Lawrence is in the playoffs. I stand by my assessment that he's the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. I will never change my mind on that. I think he is that good. And we've seen that from him now the second half of the season. I think next year Trevor Lawrence could be an MVP candidate. He told me to play Richie James or Hodgins, who both had good games, but if I didn't play Evans, I'd be down 8. Yeah, there you go. So, and Hodgins scored again. So, he's been great the last, month or so. But I'm glad it all worked out for you, that that me telling you to go James or Hodgins over Evans didn't lose you the week. Got my Chargers Super Bowl future pick waiting for me to cash in 1,200. Yeah, that could happen. They have the players, they have the horses on that team to do it. And it was good to see that, the offense play well. Austin Eckler is just crazy good. I'm up by 35 and he has Burrow, 4-point TD. All right, that's not bad. I could play Davis or Cook tonight. Yahoo projects Davis for 12 and Cook for 9. But Yahoo gives me a better winning percentage if I play Cook. That's tough. This is going to be a shootout. The reason why I like Cook is that he can beat you in 2 different ways, running it and catching it. So I would lean Cook. Where do you think Mike Evans goes in drafts next year? Swift and Jamal Williams are also interesting. Yes. I think Mike Evans is going to slip. I'm out on Mike Evans. I've been a big Mike Evans fan for years because he's so durable. And he has played through injuries this year. But I don't like receivers over the age of 30. And he's going to be 31, I believe, next season with a lot of wear and tear. One thing about durability, all those games played add up, and it can result in an earlier decline. We've seen Keenan Allen, after turning 30 this year, miss a lot of time with injury. I'm going to be out on him. I think Mike Evans will be a 3rd-round pick. DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, if that arrangement stays the same for next year, I'm out on both. I don't want anything to do with that. Same thing with Aaron Jones. As much as I am in love with Aaron Jones, you all know that. I'm tired of A.J. Dillon stealing touchdowns around the goal line. I'm out on that arrangement as well. Got it right last year, Rams before us. Oh, yes. So, listen, Jets next year, Chargers this year. That's a good pick. Your thoughts on final score tonight? Who wins? I have Cincinnati. Yeah, it could be. I think it might be a little more lower scoring. I think it could be like maybe 27-24 because of the rain. Yes, hit the like button, everybody. Mike Evans may be a 4th-round pick. Yeah, he could slip to a 4th. And the thing, too, with Mike Evans is he's kind of that boring veteran that people are, that people are probably a little bit, indifferent about because he's just been around for so long, and he's not, he's not young anymore. I think he's just there, and people maybe get tired of. They want to see that young, hotshot new guy, and I think that he probably is not going to go anywhere higher than a mid-third round pick. Aaron Jones might even be a Packer next year if we don't restructure or shit comes on a contract. Yeah, Aaron Jones is interesting to me. He is older. He's 27. So I think that where he ends up, and that's going to really impact A.J. Dillon as well. But, and by the way, for next year, so I don't know if you guys saw the college football semifinals, but Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver for TCU, that's the next rookie fantasy wideout we need to be paying attention to. He was unbelievable against Michigan. Big play guy, big, strong guy, athletic, reminds me of Jamar Chase. Talking about Quentin Johnston, who's had a quarterback in Max Duggan, who's doesn't really stretch the field much, and has made the most of his somewhat average abilities. I think Quentin Johnston is going to be a rookie wideout that we all need to be in on next season. Godwin's the guy you want, only if Brady returns. I don't think Brady's coming back. I just don't think so. But yes, I do love Godwin. Big fan of Godwin, but his injuries are kind of annoying too. If Aaron Jones is a Packer, I'm drafting Dillon for sure. Yes, you have to draft Dillon. Dillon's proven that he can catch the football. So I think Dillon has appeal. It takes him a couple of steps to get up to speed. Once he gets up to speed, he's so strong that he can just run over you. Certainly, I would be in on A.J. Dillon as a third-round pick next year, or, if Aaron Jones were to leave. That Green Bay versus Minnesota playoffs game will be interesting. Yes, and here's the thing, too, as a Giants fan. The Giants are going to get Minnesota. They could get San Francisco if San Francisco somehow loses to the Bears, which is not going to happen. So the Giants are going to get Minnesota. Don't think for a second that the Giants can't beat Minnesota. I've said this from the beginning. Minnesota is a paper tiger. The 49ers would kick their ass, as would the Eagles. The Giants, I think, can beat the Minnesota Vikings. They almost did on Christmas Day. Giants are playing with a lot of confidence. The Vikings are not playing with any confidence after getting their ass handed to them by the Packers. So I think this is a great potential matchup for the Giants, and it looks like that's who they're going to wind up getting. That defense is so bad, they can't stop anybody. And they were good a couple of years ago, but it's just downright horrendous. Dallas versus Tampa Bay. I took Dallas off of my list of teams I think could win the Super Bowl. I think it's either the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bengals in the AFC, and the Eagles and the 49ers in the NFC. I've taken the Cowboys off of that list. I don't see the Cowboys winning a Super Bowl. I just don't. It's a very mistake-prone team, especially in the playoffs. Dak Prescott throws more interceptions than you would like. The calamitous mistake always seems to find Dallas in the playoffs. And this going back years, going back to Tony Romo dropping the snap against Seattle, it's always something. Last year, the clock running out before they were able to get the snap off. I took Dallas off of my list of teams that I think can win the Super Bowl this season. And you're right, defense does win championships. In college football, offense wins championships. And that's just historically how it's always gone. So anyway, guys, so I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you for all your support. Good luck tonight, guys. If you need, somebody to put you over the top to win, I know I'm going to be watching closely. Live stream tomorrow to pick up all the pieces. So make sure you tune in for that. Hit the subscribe, hit the notification button. I will see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, guys. I will see you tomorrow.